Hey everyone, welcome to another Feral Druid video. Today, however, we're going to do something slightly different. Instead of looking at DPS and how to increase the amount of damage we're doing, I want to talk about defensive use and staying alive, which is actually more important this season to stay alive in a dungeon than it is to do that little bit more damage. You'll often find a lot of keys that you're depleting this season are because people are dying, and you're just going to lose time from the harsh 15-second death penalty once you get into a 7 key or higher. So you're actually wiping more and depleting keys more to deaths than lack of damage. How many times have you done a key with 0 deaths and gone and depleted and gone, oh, we just didn't have enough damage, and your take was pulling more than just one pack at a time? You know what I mean? So surviving, very, very important this season. What I want to do, I've got a clip for you of a boss, which I think is a very painful boss for a lot of groups. I have wiped there many, many, many times in groups from people just not being able to outlive the damage. So that's going to be the second boss of Dawnbreaker on a plus 14, which we did actually go on 2 times. So if you guys want, I can also upload that dungeon for you so you can see how I did my 14 Dawnbreaker in time. But what I want to start with is just talking to you guys through the class tree and how I'm looking to maximize my defensive strength whilst also maximizing my utility and, you know, being an all-round team player. So obviously we're going to come down the left-hand side of the tree, and we're going to come all the way down to getting our well-honed instincts. Whenever we fall below 40% health, we get a frenzied regen on us up to once every 120 seconds. That just helps us, you know, if there's just like sort of this pulsing damage which is going out, which happens on a lot of bosses, then well-honed is really nice to have. I also pick up in-cap raw. That's just for group utility. But then you get, like, you know, you get more defensives here with your SI and your bark skin, reduce an extra amount of damage taken. You can pick up Ursine Vigor here, so every time you're shifting into bear form, you're getting tankier. And also here, stamina in bear form is increased by 10%. Ursoc Spirit, this is an extra bonus. So whenever we go into bear form, we're, like, incredibly tanky for the first few seconds. Here, Matted Fur, when you use bark skin or SI, you get an absorb on you. We also have Thick Hide, reduce all damage taken by 4%. We could pick up Renewal for a nice little self-heal on a reasonable cooldown, I guess. Increased healing received by 4% from natural recovery. And then you're picking up these few here. So Frenzied Regen, you're getting your, just whenever you're in bear form, you can use this, heal yourself up. So whilst you're sitting in bear form for those few seconds, whilst damage is pulsing out or whatever, that big hit's going to come in, you could be getting up, regaining health with your Frenzied. Your bark skin duration increased by 4 seconds, which is very nice to have, again, if there's this pulsing damage. And then you have Frenzied Regen and Box can increase all healing received by 20%. So you also have that well-honed. Like, when you're hitting that well-honed, it's also going to sync with this Verdant Heart. I mean that when the well-honed goes off, you're now going to be taking extra healing, which is pretty important. And, yeah, then just with the rest of the class 3, it's just utility. I'm making sure I always have my Dispel because it's needed in, like, every dungeon, especially with a lot of affixes as well. So affixes needing Dispels. Then you have Cyclone and Soothe, which also just helps be an all-around play. So, and like, Vortex and In-Cap. So I'm kind of getting all of the stuff that I want. I'm not really losing too much in order to get this. Yes, I don't have Innovate, I don't have Nature's Vigil or anything like that, but I have more, like, direct healing for myself to keep myself alive. So that's how I'm looking to stay alive when we actually look at what Feral does have defensively. So we have Survival Instincts. This is a 3-minute CD. Reduces all damage you take by 60% for 6 seconds. So an incredibly strong DR, but it has a really long cooldown. Some classes are getting a similar DR on a lower cooldown or whatever. But yeah, very strong cooldown, but it's slow to come back up. It's got a long CD. Then you have Bark Skin, which is just like a 1-minute defensive, reduces all damage taken by 30%. The nice thing with Feral, some classes, say you play Windwalker Monk, you have like a physical DR and a magic DR. The nice thing with Feral is that you just have reduces all damage taken, so you don't really have to think like, well, what damage type is this? You play DK as well, you got like AMS and stuff. Like, is this magic? Is this physical? You don't have to worry about that with Feral. It's the nice part of the spec. So, Boxian, reduce all damage taken by 30%, increase all healing received, and bosh, there you go. Preventing damage from delaying your spellcast. Cool. We don't really have to worry about that. So, then we also have bear form, and within bear form, we have frenzied regen. So whenever you shift into bear form, you'll have enough rage to just instantly hit with a frenzied regen, which is healing me for 900k a tick. I mean, it's very, very strong. And it's like a 30-second CD. So you can live quite a lot on Feral. And then obviously you have Renewal as well. You have free regrowths with your... where is it? Is it going to be there? It's on the talent tree. I can just find it there. Predatory Swiftness. Finishing moves have a chance to make your next regrowth or entangling roots instant, free, and castable in all forms. So you can get, like... You could be getting those free regrowths, which are really helpful. Instant and in cat form. It just costs you a global, which we're pooling a lot of energy a lot of the time anyway, so it's not that big a deal. And then you have Renewal. So the way you can sort of play these is you always want to Bark Skin before you would use your SI. SI is a larger defensive, but most of the time with Feral, Bark Skin alone is enough to keep you alive. Most of the time. And if it's not, you can Bear Form plus Bark Skin. The reason being, if you SI first, that's a 3-minute CD. If then on the next hit of damage you then Bark Skin, well then you don't have a CD for anything that happens on the 3rd hit, right? Whereas if you, because both things are now on cooldown, if you Bark Skin first, then you look to SI on the 2nd hit of damage, then your Bark Skin should be back up for the 3rd. So you can sort of cycle it like that. And then on the 4th, well, hopefully whatever you're fighting is dead on the 4th. You know, so... that's kind of how you can look to play things. You can also, before the big damage is coming in, you can look to, like, send that free regrowth. Then you know damage is going to be coming in, you can Bark Skin. And it just kind of keeps you topped up and means that the healer doesn't have to focus on you too much. So, looking at a specific example then, I want to take you guys through this. Where's my full screen? There it is. So, this is the second boss of Dawn 14. And I just want to talk you through how I'm looking to play this defensively. Again, not too worried about my damage right now. Just want to talk about this defensively. So, in order to understand how to maximize your defensive use, you have to understand how the boss works. You have to know where the damage is coming from. Not just the boss, but the trash. Learn what things are doing. And I know when you're playing lower keys, this is a very important piece of information. When you're playing lower keys, pay attention. Just pay attention. You know why I do so well in Mythic Plus? Because I pay attention at the lower levels. Okay? I know it seems obvious, but a lot of people, they're like, nothing's killing me. I'm in a +3. Nothing's killing me. Who cares what's happened? I'm just gonna press my cooldown. You know, press my rotation buttons. Just do some DPS. La 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 la. Who knows what's happening? Don't be that guy. Pay attention to low key so you know what everything does. Now, this boss targets a specific player with a Dark Orb. You're going to send that out to the Abyss. It's then going to explode. It does proximity damage. So if it hits against a close-by object and explodes very quickly, it's going to do a lot of damage. Whereas if it's really far away from us, it's going to do less damage. So we send it into the Abyss. That's why we position here. That Dark Orb is still going to explode for a lot of damage, even at max range. Then it's also going to do this like Shadow Abyss pulse thing. It pulses like 4 or 5 times, where it's just going to do a big chunk of damage. Then it will summon a bunch of adds. These add spellcasts are really dangerous. They will just target random players and do damage to them. So you need to stun them, interrupt them, incap them, whatever you've got as a collective group. You do not want to let a single cast go through, because the Dark Orb on its own will not kill you. If you're 100% HP on a 14, this will not kill you, ever, on a 14 if you're at max health. However, if an add cast goes through and takes you down to 90% health, and then the orb goes through, you will die. So, it's important to know, on the key level, what is fatal, what is not, what is avoidable, what is not. The way Blizzard operates is normally the avoidable damage, or the unavoidable damage, is not fatal, because that would be silly. The avoidable damage, though, will put you in a position where then the unavoidable damage is fatal. So very important on this boss to not let the adds cast, to make sure you're topped health when the Dark Orb comes through. Now, the pulse damage that it's also going to do is very heavy, but that's what you should sort of be trying to allow your healer to take care of. Now, we had a very good healer in this group, Fused, and they were chilling with it. They were also calling for the Orgvoker to help out at various times with like Zephyr and Orgvoker things. So we also had that in the mix. That made this boss a little bit easier. But that's how this boss works. There's also a big tank buster. You just move out of that. It's fine. Whatever. those three things are the piece of damage that you want to be looking for as Feral. Dark Orb, make sure you're topped. Abyss, make sure you're using some kind of, or Shadowy, Decay, make sure you're using some kind of defensive and hoping that the healer has you. And then for the ads, just CC them, don't let them cast. The most dangerous damage in Mythic Plus is random damage. Not damage going to your tank. Your tank is designed to take hits. The most dangerous damage is damage that is going out on random players. People that are not designed to take damage. So Dark Orb's coming through. I'm going to bait this out. I'm going to move around. I don't think I need to use a defensive here. Doesn't kill me. Takes me to about 15% health. Now, on a 15, I probably need to bear form that every single time. Well, I definitely do. On a 15 key, I'm going to need to bear form that. So that's what I'm thinking about as well when I'm doing these keys. I'm gauging the damage. And if you ever go into a dungeon, let's say you go into this dungeon, it's your first time in a 14, and you go, bro, I don't know how much this Dark Orb is going to do to me. Is it going to kill me in cat form? We'll find out. Go into bear form. If it takes you to like 40% health, then you can go, right, I should be fine to take this in cat form and not die as long as I'm topped. Now, if it takes you to like 10% health in bear form, okay, you're bear forming that every single time, right? And if it's types of damage where you can pre-plan in advance, then probably don't use a cooldown on it if you can just shift into bear form. Does that make sense? So now the Shadowy Decay comes in. I'm going to box skin this, and I see that my healer's got me. I've got Renewal as like a panic button, but I don't worry about having to go into like bear form or anything like that. I just let box skin do the heavy lifting. I have a free regrowth, which I send, and then my healer's got me. Awesome. So far, I've clocked that box skin is roughly enough for Shadowy Decay, and that the orb won't kill me if I'm in cat form, as long as I'm topped. Now we demolish these ads. Now, one important thing to note with this boss is that it does have a bad overlap, where the orb will explode, and then he starts casting Shadowy Decay just before the orb explodes. So, what you need to do is make sure you have a big defensive available for that. We'll talk about that shortly. So, Shadowy Decay comes in again. I shift into bear form, right? So, watch here. Shadowy Decay is coming in. I don't have box in. Now, again, if I know that Dark Orb doesn't kill me, Shadowy Decay can kill me, but the overlap definitely kills me, unless I have a defensive. Like, bear form is not enough to survive the orb exploding and Shadowy Decay when you get the bad overlap. And you always will get the bad overlap. So keep that in mind. As long as you're on a high enough level key. If the boss dies in 20 seconds, okay, sure. So that's where I want to be saving my biggest defensive, which is my survival instincts, my 3-minute CD. That is where I would say, that's what I would say for the overlap. Plus maybe even bear form as well. So I don't want to, like for this, I just want to bear form because I want to save my SI for the really big danger zone, and I don't have box skin because I used it on the previous one. So this one, I just go into bear form. The healer's actually chilling and has me. I use a frenzied. As soon as I see that I'm mostly healthy and Shadowy Decay is almost over, then I can jump back into cat form and continue DPSing. Now we get another Dark Orb. This one isn't the overlap, I don't believe. I think it's going to be ads next. So we're fine on this one. You got to look at the boss's mana as well. But it's roughly like, I think like the third orb or so that will be the nasty overlap. So killing these ads, watching out for the tank slam, making sure to interrupt these and CC them. Now this is going to be the overlap, I believe. So we've still got some ads. We're going to have the orb go through. Is this the overlap? Yeah, this is the overlap now. So this is where I would want to SI. However, I don't. I box skin, and then my healer drops Link. So this is where you should have a strategy in your mind for every single encounter on how to use your defensives. But the healer is the wild card. Like, don't expect your healer to have you on everything. But at times where your healer does have you, then don't overreact, right? So, like, don't go and use SI and Link, because that's wasteful. And it's unnecessary. But I jump into bear form and I box skin, because I know this is the overlap, and this is just going to chunk me. We get the Link, so I'm going to be safe here. But for the second or two that I lose of damage, like, I'm outside of my cooldown window, I'm not in Tiger Fury. The boss has bleeds on him. I can chill. Like, I'm not worried about damage right now. I'm fine. I'm doing 2 million DPS, actually. I'm kind of pumping, bro. So, yeah. You don't need to overreact. A lot of people go into dungeons and expect their healer to just take care of them and baby them the whole time. No. I can live this boss without a healer. Like, that's how you should be approaching each boss. I can live this without a healer. Because you're pugging. If you're in a pre-made, then sure. If your healer says, yo, I'm going to link on the overlap, and they mess up their link, and you wipe, but you had a defensive available or something, like, that's on your healer because they said they were going to do a thing and they didn't, and then it, you know what I mean? But in a pug, it's you against, it's 1v9. It's you against everybody. So just assume that your healer is an idiot, and then you'll always live, because you'll always be thinking about what you're going to do next. So Shadowy Decay comes in, we have the link, I have the box, and I'm in bear form, orb's going to explode. I think it's already exploded, but because of link, it just didn't even matter. So now I know that there's no more nasty overlaps, and now I'm pretty much safe for the remainder of this boss. I can just bear form everything. Now I should... Okay. Now it's kind of like this toss-up where it's like, right, well, the next orb, I don't need to worry about. I'm going to bear form... Oh, I incapped, okay. Yeah, so I can bear form this. I don't need to, though. I can just stay in cap form, keep DPS in. I bear form there just to help out the healer a little bit. Sure, I've got nothing going on anyway. Wait for my Tiger Fury. Then we get Shadowy Decay. I see that the healer or the org types out Zephyr, so I don't need to use anything. I'm just watching my renewal. You see me use it. I get dropped just a little bit low there, so I just send it there, just for the safety side. But I actually didn't need to use it. That was a bit of an overreaction there. And then now, I bear form because I have to move out anyway. I can't DPS the boss, so I may as well bear form. Reduce the amount of damage taken. Cool. Animate shadows. Now I'm just safe. Like, boss has got, like, 10% health. So what I do, this is actually something interesting as well. So, boss is almost dead, but I definitely want to use some cooldowns here because, like, they're just going to sit there, and the next trash is, like, kind of whatever. I mean, they're kind of dangerous, but I'll get them back up for that trash, because we have to fly up there and all that kind of stuff. Now, what I do is I know I'm going to Berserk Convoke, but there's ads that are going to get summoned. And because we're at the end of the boss, I don't really know who's got what anymore, and people might be on fumes with what CDs they have available, so I pre-bark skin. That way, if a cast does go through, I should live. Now, you'll see me do this in a lot of dungeons, particularly in the first pull of a dungeon, because what do you normally do in the first pull of a dungeon? You go pretty big, because every single person has cooldowns, and you might even bloodlust it. So, it's common, when people are tunnel visioning their DPS cooldowns at the beginning of a pull, that kicks are going to go through, like, casts are going to go through. So, I pre-bark skin, that way if any of the mobs cast on me, like, if one casts on me, whatever. If two casts on me and I didn't box in, I'd be dead. This way, like, if Shadowy Decay comes through, whatever, doesn't matter. I pre-box skin. Because what we don't want to do is be partly the way through a Convoke and then have to bail out of it and use a defensive. Otherwise, you're going to die. But that's sort of the overview of this. I know this is a reasonably long video, but you can apply this logic to every dungeon, every boss, even in trash pulls. So, prioritize using bear form as much as you can when you're outside of your cooldown windows. When you're inside of your cooldown windows, try to use box skin. Or if you're unsure of how much damage you're going to take or whatnot, you can send the box skin. If you know something that heavy is about to hit you. Try and use SI when box skin is on CD, or if the damage is going to be so heavy that box skin wouldn't save you, which is very uncommon. That's normally a case of something horrible has gone wrong in the dungeon, and you've been hit by avoidable damage and unavoidable damage. So, prioritize box skin, then SI, then box skin. Use your renewal for this pulse damage whenever you just need to, like, keep yourself just topped up a little bit. Use bear form for any big hits that you know are going to be coming way in advance. And then learn the boss. Learn the dungeon. Make sure you know what each thing does so that you know where the damage is going to come. And then that way, you'll never die on Feral. You'll never die on Feral because you just won't. Unless you make a mistake, you just won't. So that's sort of everything there with this video. I just want to take you guys through some defensive stuff and make you better gamers, not just offensively, but defensively. I think this is more important than any damage, like, improvement you're ever going to make, is just learning how to live and learning how to survive. If you guys want to see the full 14 Dawnbreaker, I can upload that. Just let me know in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.